So I just had a sip. Let me just have a sip of this and see what it tastes like to me, because I'm like the best person to judge these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tasting museum. It's giving like oak, musty ass, dusty.
Someone just mopped the floors in the next room.
Yeah, but like maybe an old man's, your grandfather's great-great-grandfather's cologne like spilled in the suitcase. And the moths.
You accidentally drank it?
The moths are eating it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they should put that on the bottle.
Yeah.
What to expect
Didn't
when
they do
drinking
an ad
this?
About
They did.
Scotch like that?
They did. They did a brilliant ad. They did an ad, a like blind taste test or something.
That's really cool.
And half of the people that you don't know what it is, I think, in the beginning. So I'm probably fucking this up, but you pretty much, it just shows all these people taking a sip. And half of them are like, oh, that's amazing. And the other half are like, that is literally awful. The worst thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Baby shit.
Yeah. They're like, it tastes like paint thinner or something. And then the next person is like, that's incredible. It's in their whole
It's not such a
campaign.
smart ad. So
they were like, you decide.
So you decide.
Something like
So
that. That was the
smart.
effect of it.
Y'all, I get obsessed with like advertising people. Like the show Mad Men is so sexy to me. It's so crazy.
I love that show.
But also like there's people that invented like the Nike just do it phrase. And like all these people are so brilliant. It's just fun to see, because I believe it's a whole art form. I mean, this is what we do even for our merch and like anything that we create to sell. We're like, we want to like give you a creative ad for it.
Yeah. Well, it helps us actually enjoy it. We're like, well, if we're going to do this,
The process of selling it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Make the whole experience be a piece, an art form of somehow, you know?
Oh my goodness. And that kind of leads us into the topic for today, which is about, we need your art. And how do you convince somebody that they are worthy of selling their art to the world? Or not just selling, but, giving it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on your favorite podcast, House of Herby. I'm your host, Queen Herby. We have your co-host, Jedi Nick, over here, your safe space for self-discovery and bad bitchery. That's all we're doing here. Mm-hmm. We are also drinking scotch today, which is...
Today is
tastes
little
like a museum.
Scotch...
I stand with my comment.
I stand by my museum.
But it's something that we say often on this podcast. We need your art. And I think a lot of people are really running with that. Like I see people saying it a lot in the comments, like, we need your art.
Okay, that should be a t-shirt. If we're ever going to do a fucking t-shirt, it should probably be that, right?
Let us know in the comments, wherever you're listening, like, should we make a t-shirt for We Need Your Art?
And then just have parentheses F in the front of it.
What?
In front. Okay.
What does that mean?
In front of the word art, we'd have parentheses F.
Okay. Nick, you are quickly losing your job as a co-host.
I just got promoted to co-host. Don't do this to me. I just relocated my entire family here.
Did y'all see the new artwork too? We shot a whole different artwork for House of Herby.
Are we doing
I'm
the
extremely
hour?
proud
Oh,
of
yes.
it.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's already live. If you're listening on any of these things, you can probably see it. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. So why don't we just hop in?
Why don't we just hop in?
Why don't we just bunny hop right in there?
I have music to play too.
Oh, you have music to play?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, because the Muse is
music?
coming on Valentine's. So we are 5 days away from the new music being out, and we wanted to give y'all a little sneak peek.
Give it a little taste.
A little exclusive sneak pick.
Snack pack.
Because y'all are our family, and we want you to hear this shit first. It's pretty great.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, shit, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listening back to it, what were your takeaways from it? Listening back, because it's like a kind of a different thing when you're in it, and then when you're kind of coming out of it, and then you can listen kind of detached a little bit. Yeah, I can't really. I just finished mixing it.
Yeah, it's impossible. You'd have to ask me in 8 months from now what I thought of the songs. That's
Yeah,
how deep
probably.
I am. But the beauty of it is, I think that these are some of the most catchy and the most potent songs I've ever written.
They have a shitload of energy.
They have a shitload of energy, and that was our goal for this project.
There's a couple chill ones
for
too.
The Muse. The Muse is a very devious project. It's very much like I cut off my own head, that I cut off the head of my ego, and here I am, like, finally being my true self. I've loved myself, I've accepted myself, and I've discovered like what a bad bitch I really am. I just found out that I'm the baddest bitch. Like, this has been a theme for me over the last year. So that's what you got on this project. Now the next project will be a whole different adventure, but this is a great one to put on. I feel like for working out, this is a great project to put on when you're like needing a boost of motivation and energy during the workday. Like, I had a lot of people DM me about, what was it? The Mad Queen project. And they're like, oh, I just put that on and I just vibe and I just dance around my room and get hype.
Yeah, just start breaking shit. It's a good one to just go into the fine china and just start fucking smashing plates.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do, I mean, obviously the cover art is like a headless Medusa. That is so iconic, but she's also very theatrical. And me, it's my vibe.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
We're in the swamp. We just got our head cut off. We just found out we're the baddest bitch. And now we're re-emerging. The Phoenix is rising, right?
Yep.
5D is part of this project. Dress code. Mm-hmm. It's just like sort of rediscovering yourself after
a traumatic experience.
Whatever that is for you. So if you were in like an abusive relationship, or you had you had gone down the wrong path and you were just severely unhappy and you like left your job or moved, or
someone stole your bike,
you lost someone you loved, or like it's really someone stole your bike, that would suck. Yeah. And they would want to listen to this project.
Yeah, totally. Go boxing afterwards, go chase them to try to get it back.
But we love a rebirth and a transformation, and that's what this is about.
Should we play it now, or should we get into the topic first?
No, we can play. We can hit some previews.
Just a little. I mean,
some people don't know. Some people don't care about We Need Your Art. They just want to hear the songs.
Well, We Need Your Art. This is called Chuck E. Cheese.
Usually I would just stay in my house, but I'm in the mood to spread some magic around. Palo Santo on my vintage mantle, light a candle, put my ass up on my pretty man. He grab a handful, oh damn, now I'm brawling. Push inside my coffin, nails, that's the nail in the coffin. Goddess, energy is flawless. Enemies get off me, I'm vibing. Can't you see me smiling? Chuck E. Cheese, I'm at peace everywhere I go. On the scene, over clean, even.
Whoa.
It's a little vibe of this one. This one's called Thank Goddess.
That was a smooth one. That was a smooth.
She was a smooth glass of museum.
Yeah.
Come into my temple.
Lights up, baby, this my scene. Where I'm going after all my dreams. So much abundance that a bitch can't breathe. Drop to my knees. Cause he worships me. Dirty mouth, but my pristine. You need to get up on my frequency. Make you believe. Thank goddess I'm a bad bitch. Spend 100 lifetimes as a sad bitch. So I get it why you triggered by my highness. Cause I speak another language. I don't do
That's
it for
hot.
the entertainment.
Good. That one gets me going, man.
That was called
Thank Goddess.
and then I'll just play a little bit. This is
That was called Thank Goddess.
Thank
Goddess I'm a bad bitch.
Just a foolish mortal, learning my new normal. Stop and smell the roses again. Soak up these bath salts, lavender patchouli. Conjure up the new me, pampered like Marie Antoinette. I love it. Big pussy energy, I keep it in my dress. Sweet wee, I'm so fancy now. You got me speaking French. I see why they hating on me now. It's making sense. Bling bling, I'm so generous, please. I be dropping gems. Funny story, I'm the queen of.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that's a couple vibes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Thanks, Jedi Nick.
So that comes out. What day is it?
Valentine's. Valentine's Day. So don't miss it. We're going to be doing a live stream release party the night this comes out, right? Which is not Valentine's, but the evening before. So the 13th.
Yeah.
Which is a Monday.
Midnight EST, 9 p.m. Pacific
PST.
time.
Yeah. So if you're on the West Coast, it's 9. And if you're on the East Coast, it's midnight. And I'm sure there's other hour. I don't know. But join us. We would love to hang with you. It's going to be just me and like my fave people that are close by, people on my team, people that worked on the record. Mm-hmm. And it's always just a really fun night because I drink too much and then I get on the live and we talk to each other. And while y'all are listening to it and we're listening to it for the first time, it's just like a really fun way to celebrate.
Yeah. We did it last time and it was fun. So
do it one more time.
I'm going to fucking do it again.
Yes. So that'll be on my Instagram. Okay. So We Need Your Art. And that is a really heavy statement when you don't know exactly what is meant by it, right? Because a lot of people would say like, no, we don't. You need to just get to work and do a manual labor job that you hate forever. But the reason that we need your art, in my opinion, is because the meaning of life and like the purpose for being alive is to create. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Thank you for bringing it up, Amy. I have several thoughts on it. Here at NPR, we're going to. No, this is such a. Okay, so first of all, I did work a bunch of manual labor jobs. Okay,
yes,
and it was great.
It was,
there are few things more satisfying, to be honest.
It's pretty like you are also a physical person.
I'm also a physical person.
If you wear your physical body out during the day, you're so satisfied.
Yeah, I'm like, woo, let's fucking go. Okay, so you're saying on this angle, yeah.
We need your art. So some people, a manual job sometimes is creating art. So that's a terrible. I shouldn't have said manual labor.
No, but how about this? Whether it's career or just for whether you're going to make money from it or not.
Right.
Whether you want it to actually go be your full-time gig and like it becomes your focus to now it's your business.
Right.
Versus your art is like you make pottery at night. Or you know what I mean?
Like let's say it's just your hobby or something that brings you a lot of joy, but your job that pays your bills is different.
Right. And we talk about this all the time too, because you always make your hobbies your job.
Right. Yes.
Which is wonderful.
That's a good life hack.
It's an amazing life hack, but at the same time, it's good to balance things and not always, because like you start, you're like, oh God, I need it. We had this whole discussion one night about having hobbies and how they were good for you.
Yes.
Right? Because it's just such a good like change of pace in the brain. And
for me, it helps me do my job better.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Which is all, was a hobby at one point.
Yeah. And really all of my hobbies and my jobs are art. So I think that's like I personally think it's the best lifestyle ever. But the reason that we made this podcast is because there are people out there that might not be quite ready to take that leap. Like when we used to have regular jobs that were not our passions.
Right.
And it was terrifying just to get to this point.
Yeah.
And so when we say we need your art, we are trying to instill in you the courage that's required to
That's what it is.
Believe in yourself and to put yourself out there, the creative you out there.
And we're going to say this every fucking week. It is you may be like the rules in your brain won't let you because of how things were. We are like entering a very new earth right now.
A new era.
The old world is still going to like kind of hang around for a little while, but it's dying off or it's transitioning hard.
Yep.
So those rules didn't apply. So there are new rules kind of being made right now.
Right.
I mean, look, there are 100 different examples. We love talking about this too. Like, okay, we'll love him or hate him. Joe Rogan. He like now is one of the biggest fucking names in the world because he just kept going.
Yes.
He's what number podcast is he on now? He's like 1900 something. Think about that.
And I
how
know
many is that? I mean, besides
that's many weeks, that's many years, but it's also like he calls himself a comedian, right? But I actually believe that his curiosity and his conversational skills are what we really love the most. And what I love to just kind of repeat here is like, if you have the courage to like put yourself out there creatively, you're also going to find out like maybe you are like Joe Rogan where you thought you were a comedian, but like technically your other talents have now made you bigger than all the comedians.
Totally.
So I love that just dabbling and trying shit and being ready to fail creatively, whatever. I don't even think that's possible, but just to put yourself out there is what we're saying, because we want you to discover your passion and it takes action.
And I think too, it also, it makes you clarify. You learn so much about yourself when you do it, when you're forced to do something, even if it is just your hobby. It really does force you. If nothing else, it just makes you develop your shit.
An example, Lady Gaga is an incredible music artist, but like we didn't know that she was also an incredible actress until she was cast in movies, which she probably would not have been cast in before she was Lady Gaga.
Right.
Or that might have helped her get the roles in the movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So no matter what you do, as long as you give us your art, because we need your art, it will help you to get to where you need to go.
Yeah. We've kind of slowly developed like the my 2 rules for success.
I love these. Yeah.
Okay. Now I should probably find a way to.
Are you going to update them?
Well, I think
I think they still work.
Okay.
Nicole is a simple person.
We have
two rules to all success.
Yeah. Well, what we got here is we got number 1 and we got number 3.
No.
I mean, what's after that? So you have I got to rewrite them maybe because I don't want to always, maybe the point of view that I'm coming at with should be positive instead of a limiting
negative.
one.
Okay,
right?
okay, sure.
That's my only thing. I think.
Okay, so they're negative, but
well, maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But don't give up. Don't go crazy.
right,
Or don't lose your mind.
right.
Okay.
Don't give up and don't go crazy.
Those are the only two things ever that you need to follow.
Right.
Okay. So whenever you have a problem where now this is, I think, if you want to make this as your life, right? So you're like, oh my God, I'm out there, I'm doing it. This is what I want to do. This is my purpose. And you're just like fucking running into roadblock after roadblock. Don't give up and don't go crazy.
Right. Or the positive would be like, keep going
Keep swimming.
and listen to House of Herby, the podcast, because you got to keep your mental health
Thursdays, Wednesdays,
in order.
8 Central, 9
Yeah,
Central.
because don't go crazy. What's the opposite of don't go crazy? Is like stay mentally well. Keep going and stay mentally well.
There we go. Keep going. Stay mentally well.
That's not as dramatic as don't give up, don't go crazy.
I
That's
know,
way better.
that's way
yeah,
better.
yeah. Well, we're gonna do what we need to do.
We'll change it. We'll flirt with it. We'll
Get
flirt
the
with
marketing
it.
together.
Yeah. But that's every problem that you have throughout your journey and everything. If you just keep breaking them all the way down, at the end, you're going to get
Don't give up.
And don't go crazy.
It's so true.
Or lose your mind, whatever you know.
Right, right.
And also, what's really important too, sorry, I'm talking all the time. This is such a fascinating thing
You
to
love
me.
this talk today. I was like, what are we talking about tonight on the podcast? And Nick was like,
it's like
something motivational. I was like, okay, calm down. This is why he wants a headset.
yeah, I'm just going to be like, now, if you and I...
In a van down by the river. Dear God.
Oh man, I find myself
Chris Farley.
I find myself rewatching those clips all the time.
They're so good. Y'all know what we're talking about Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, if you haven't
Chris Farley. Some of these babies are so young.
I know. If you weren't born like, in the 2000s.
If you want to watch the Van Down by the River skit with Chris Farley on YouTube, it's old Saturday Night Live. It's classic.
Yeah, classic.
Okay, so I was saying we need your art.
Top off?
We need we're still trying to, oh, you want more scotch?
I had just a little guy.
He's having a great time.
We're having a great time. We're talking about need not, all right?
It's 10 a.m. I'm kidding. It's not.
I told you not to tell anybody
It's
that.
5 o'clock somewhere. It's
Say when, like Olive Garden.
like at Olive
Do that
Garden.
at Olive Garden?
Oh, you
Well,
mean when they bring the
come on.
cheese at
What am
Olive
I-
Garden?
Yeah, that's just a little more.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when they bring the cheese.
I hate you.
When they bring the cheese? Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
the
I know what you mean.
Parmesan.
Yeah.
And they have like the crank.
I thought you meant when they pour the salad. And I was like, I don't
No,
remember
they
that
don't
at
pour the
Olive
salad.
Garden.
You can't pour salad.
That's why I was so confused. It just keeps like slopping out.
So we're
They
not-
pour pasta that way too. Everybody's shirt is just covered in sauce at the end of the night. We got to get off Olive Garden.
He took it, my little Italy.
Italy.
Okay. All right. Anyway, couldn't even remember the words. So many songs later. So we need your art because you never know when you'll one day be Carmen and the next day not. So we've defined what it means that when we say I need your art. And I think the purpose of life is creating. And I think that's like the meaning of life. And here's how I got to that perspective.
Okay.
So imagine we don't have any of this shit around us, right? There's no fireplace. There's no poodles. There's no phones recording this. You're not listening to us on a device, on the internet. There's nothing. So we were just sitting in a field somewhere naked.
Yep. Keep going.
So is everybody there? Are we all naked in a field?
I've been naked in a field.
And you know what? How about this? We could be naked in a field together. That's really fun to imagine.
Okay.
What are we doing? Looking for something to make.
Oh, okay.
There's other stuff we could do too, which is
I was
also
going to answer, but I was like,
which is
I'll
also
let you take this
creation,
one.
which is also creation. But I think when people,
Which is also creation.
right?
There you go.
Because even giving birth and having a family is to create.
Where do babies come from?
Oh my God. So we're in a field and we're like looking at the trees like, I would really love to like cover my ass, or I'm cold. I would like to like make some clothes. And you're looking at the soft grass and you're
my
like,
balls are showing.
right. All of a sudden
You
you're
suddenly
realizing you're
become
naked.
conscious.
No, this
and you're
is
like, oh my God, everybody can
naked.
see my balls.
Oh, that happens in the Bible.
That's Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve like realized they were naked and sinful and horrible.
Fucking Satan apples, man.
Temptation. Oh my God. Let's not get into Bible stories, but we're in a field naked
Hard
and
left.
there's nothing to do. And so we make stuff.
So you start creating clothes or
shelter, food. I'm hungry. Like there's just so much to do in life. So we need your art. Just create. And like, why would you not choose to do something that you love? If you were in the field and you were not interested in making clothes, you wouldn't make them. You would do something else. Some people made weapons.
True.
Right? Some people so I feel like we've just come so far now where we're talking to you through a phone, like a device over the internet. And
you do love, you are probably the most creative person that I know too.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Do everything you do, your living space has to be creative. Your clothing has to be, your makeup, like everything about it needs to be
trying to practice what I preach
defined.
Here. You know, if I'm trying to inspire the creatives out there, I've got to like walk the walk.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why this is natural. This is easy because this is kind of just what we talk about.
And I only arrived here because I tried a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I want to share this with people.
You do have to. Okay. What's the book? Is it The Alchemist?
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't give you the whole story of The Alchemist, but here's the whole story of The Alchemist.
And we'll see you next week.
And credits. No, it's pretty much like the gist of the story is, you know, he goes to this whole crazy journey and then realizes like what it's like the magic or what he was looking for was like on a tree in his hometown.
Of course.
Or something like that.
It was already where he was.
It was already where he was.
But you got to do the journey.
He would have never found it if he hadn't gone across the world on this crazy fucking thing. It's very poetic in a lot of ways of just like saying yes to life and just doing things and like, don't worry about it. And just make some shit. And so many people, okay, Emily Dickinson.
Yes.
She didn't even know she was, can you imagine? She died before anybody read, like before she was ever famous for her work. I think Van Gogh was similar.
This happens to so many artists. So
dude, imagine if Van Gogh just didn't make it. He never made anything.
So that's why we need
Emily Dickinson.
That's why we need your art. Like, cause
you never know, man.
Because okay, and I have a lot. I want to go into something else that's like kind of interesting on this topic, if that's okay. We had a couple of comments about people. Y'all were requesting we talk about inferiority complex and like imposter syndrome. Okay. Have you ever heard of this inferiority complex and imposter syndrome? Because I think this has a lot to do with we need your art. Because I thought about it today, like, what is it that's keeping people from giving us their art, right? And for me anyway, it's like not believing that I'm worthy.
Or fear.
Or that I'm good enough. Or that right? And this was like a huge thing for me that I uncovered like last year or something. And now I've y'all, it is possible to heal this, by the way. Mm-hmm. If you've ever felt this way, like, let's see, inferiority complex is the unrealistic feeling of inadequacy and you feel insecure, incomplete, unworthy, lots of self-doubt, low self-esteem. Like that's
so what did you
really
do?
A common feeling, right?
So what were the steps that you did?
I took to do?
So first of all, you acknowledged that you felt that way.
Yeah, but it was like I was listening to some woo-woo guy talk about healing unworthiness because I was like, well, how do I do that? I had to admit it to myself that this was happening, right? Yeah. So that's like the...
Did you do the letting go shit?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did the letting go stuff. It's been a long time now. See, I've already moved on. And once you break past this wall of like feeling inferior or feeling like you're not worthy, everything changes so fast to where you don't even look back, y'all. It's worth doing this uncomfortable work for like a couple months to make sure we get your art, right? So the solutions was acknowledging my feelings. I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's always been like eating away at me because they're saying, I was doing research, like it causes you to withdraw from social situations. So you start being like, well, I'm not going to go to that party because nobody ever invites me to parties anyway. And you start like telling yourself that you're not worthy of being in groups of successful people, for example. And you start comparing yourself to others. That's a killer. Like the reason a lot of people don't give us their art is because they see somebody else on Instagram doing better than them. Yeah. And they're like, I can't, like, no, like this isn't even worth.
I know. And social media is so brutal at that shit too. Just seeing the numbers and always just making you compare because that's what they're there for. Just because that's the first thing your brain does.
So let's dig this out. Let's figure out where this.
It's tough. Trust me, I get it.
Hang in there if you're listening. This is kind of intense. I know some people get uncomfortable too, but I'm telling you, we need your art and it's worth it to do this work. So let's keep digging. So it makes you also feel very hostile. Like I noticed my mood swings where it used to be way worse. It's definitely still mood swing city in this house, but like it used to be like way more extreme. Frustration, nervousness and like this like aggression is common, I guess. Insomnia, they're saying on these websites I was looking at, like people can't sleep if you can't sleep very well, you should just take a look at like what's happening inside. Like, do you feel worthy of giving us your art? Do you feel like satisfied and fulfilled? The inability to complete tasks. This is something that happens to a lot of people in LA, I notice. Like so many people that I know are like brilliant people, and they never fucking do anything. They never drop anything. They never make anything. They just talk about it.
Yeah.
And I know, because I always see the best in people. I'm like, you're fucking genius. You're brilliant. What's in there holding you back?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's this shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's this.
Of course. It's the fear. I think you could boil it all down. To me, it all gets boiled down to fear. There is some underlying fear of, people not fucking with it, or not liking it, or not embarrassment, whatever it is. And
I wonder if that's not
scary.
If this is not the main cause of like anxiety and depression, period.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
But it's it's funny because it's not that these feelings ever really like
go away permanently.
You thought I was going to say something positive. You practice experiencing
but everything changes
them.
Though. Everything did change after.
It does. So the letting go shit is really crazy because it does eventually, it's very uncomfortable and it is work.
Yeah.
So people, it is going to take a lot of like mental energy and focus to do, and it feels uncomfortable, and you have to acknowledge, you just have to watch feeling uncomfortable and let it pass, which it always does.
Yeah.
Every feeling you ever had will have eventually changed. It went away. So you just have to like sit with it and let it pass. And
it's
eventually
helpful to like listen to your breath too, because then you have something to focus on, because just sitting with the discomfort is awful.
Dude, it feels so. They explain it. It feels like heat.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's hot.
It's very, very
like when you start to get like embarrassed or something. It's like that. It's like
because
that heat.
If you think about it, it's toxic energy that's stuck in your body, and you're just sitting there and waiting for it to process through.
It's your like, yeah.
It does run out.
It always runs out.
It always runs out. And that's why I always say, like, give it like literally 17 or 20 seconds and see if you can feel it start to lift. This is a really fun experiment that only you can do with yourself.
And it takes, so we started seriously doing this a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then at first, like, it almost gets worse. So your ego starts like fighting back.
Yeah.
Because you start acknowledging all of the things that you spent so long
believing,
not acknowledging, like
ignoring.
Ignoring.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it starts like, it feels like it's fighting back because you've never acknowledged them before. And then it does over time. It feels like nothing is changing, but it does. And like you're saying, all of a sudden then like things like comparisons won't like bother you anymore.
I wish there was a way for like to do a before and after picture, like when you go to the gym, like before you go to the gym and after, for your mental health,
for like your brain,
because it's so hard to track that.
Yeah,
you can't like take a picture and be like, oh, my abs are really tight now. With mental health. So imposter syndrome is when you doubt your skills, talents, accomplishments, and there's a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud.
Yeah.
Woo! So that's a little different. Imposter syndrome and like inferiority. But they are like really besties, because I feel like so many of us are like, I'm comparing myself to this person, and maybe I'm not that good. And it's like, no, can you really be honest with yourself and say like, no, I'm actually really dope at X. You might be a really talented animal communicator. Like some people are really good with animals, and guess what we have a shortage of?
Animal talkers.
No, stop. Like, how hard is it to find a dog groomer that really cares about the dog's experience?
Sure.
I was talking to our friends Fawn and Em about this last week, and they were like, yeah, we started taking our dog Muppy to this groomer that actually like does this thing to make sure the dogs are comfortable, and like they have all these extra things, and they bill you for the grooming according to how the dog behaves. And they give them like report cards, and like, so now when they bring the dog to the groomer, the dog is like excited to see the groomer.
That's
and I was
smart.
like, we take our dogs to the most expensive groomer in town and they hate it.
Yeah.
They fucking hate going to the
They
groomer.
hate it.
There is
Sorry.
so much opportunity and so much space for improvement in the area of dog grooming. This is one example of like a bajillion industries. Because remember, we were naked in a field not that long ago, looking at the grass. But now it feels like, I think also imposter syndrome is like, well, everything's already taken. All the good things are done. Everything's already been, no, it's like there's so much more. You just have to put yourself out there, and we need your art so we can find it.
Nobody has no one ever in the history of existence has had your exact perspective on things.
Period.
And that's a real thing. And not to be fucking corny or whatever, but that's a real...
You are so valuable.
Well, yes, because you are unique.
We need you in your power.
Yeah.
Because you are so valuable. All of us are so unique. Like, maybe I'm just being greedy.
Yeah.
But there's 8 billion people in the world, and like very, very few of them are actually living in their power and doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
And have
but it's
discovered
changing. But it's changing. People really are now. I think there is like a lot of, and it usually takes something like great suffering, like a pandemic or some fucked up situation that forces people into change.
Let's talk about how we want to sell something that we made, some art that we made, but we're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to charge too much. And so many people undercharge for what they do, right? Mm-hmm. And some people overcharge, but like, how do you even know? Like, I was reading this advertising book, back to the advertisers, and they were like, well, are you offering something of value that they can't get somewhere else? And usually the answer is yes. So we also have to get over this thing of like, oh, I don't want to charge anyone.
There was okay.
I don't know what I'm worth.
Who was it that you were telling me the story about this lawyer who was selling classes for?
Oh God, this is a great story.
What's the law? The bar exam?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
This dude was helping people train for the bar with an online class.
Yeah, okay.
And he launched it, and he was like, it's $30.
Okay. And how many people signed up? Like 10 or something?
Yes.
Like nobody cared.
And they just did this thing they experimented with, and they were like, let's make it $3,000. And they had like record enrollment. Like.
And did he change the course?
No. He changed nothing about the class.
Because it was more money.
They trusted it more.
Was it $300 instead of $3,000?
It was $300 to $3,000, something like this. It was some huge
okay.
gap.
It was like 10 times.
Because once you make an online class, it's done. It's not like the work's been done. Like, you have not been paid. Here you go. Hopefully we make some money. But literally charging 10 times more money, like, increased the sales 100-fold.
Because it increased the value.
The perceived value.
The perceived value
which
of it.
it is. But it is, if you pass the bar because you spent your $3,000.
Yeah. So if your product has integrity, so like again, back to the, I'm just going to talk about the fucking consciousness chart, kid.
Give them the
If it's
scale.
above 200, if it has integrity, if you're doing it for the right reasons because you love it or you're passionate
You wanna
about
help
it.
people.
Yeah, you're not just out here trying to screw people over for money. Then it has integrity,
Right.
And you're probably going to have, if it's good, it's a good product.
Yeah, or like my other buddy was saying that he used to go door to door and sell like ant. When people have like ant infestations in their house, he would go to like door to door.
Linda?
Like Aunt Linda had some ants. He went door to door to in like Utah, somewhere rural, and was like, okay, like how much would you pay to not have your ant problem? And they were like, oh, I'd pay like $10,000. And he was like, okay, cool. Well, this is $30. Do you want it? So it was like easy to sell something like that when you're like, hey, I have this and it's valuable and you need it and it's done. You don't have to feel bad about charging money for your art or,
Yeah.
demanding your value in that sense, if that's what you're interested in doing. Some people also just are angels and just give everything away for free. That's totally fine. But being a fraud and feeling like you're a fraud, I think stems from that. Like, oh, I don't know if my value and what I should do and how to make this sustainable. Like, if it needs to pay your bills, honey, like, let's figure this out. And you probably have a lot of experience and education in the area too. And people just don't value that unless you have a degree from a college. It's like, no, you are getting knowledge and experience from the world and from your passion driving you to learn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure in the future, like degrees and college stuff is not going to be as important.
Well, it's going to change. Yeah.
So much.
It's going to change a lot.
So a lot of people, when they have this imposter thing, is they overwork. They work harder. And I also want to acknowledge like the role of gender bias and racism, like institutionalized racism. So like a lot of people of color and like women or queer people, non-binary people will like work way too hard to try to make up for these perceived like shortcomings. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy. And I totally relate to that as a woman, because I was like, oh, damn. This is like, we're just trying to disprove harmful stereotypes all the time, but subconsciously. Not even to get credit, but to just be like allowed to keep our jobs.
To be given what I found is, it's like you just don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Where like straight white guys are like the top of the totem pole, and like they don't have to do half the shit, you know, to receive the same amount of accolades. And a lot of them are being paid more. Or
a lot. But if you do, like, if you two people from different backgrounds were to do the same thing, you know, usually the white guy's like, oh, well, he didn't mean it that way. It was just like, he just had a bad day. He was just like, whatever. And then this other person, you're like, I saw it coming.
Yes.
It was the whole, you know what I mean? And it's just, but it's becoming more visible now, I think.
It is. It's becoming, it's going to be fixed eventually. But it is interesting how, as women or people of color, I'm sure, like, that are marginalized in that way, are also dwelling on their mistakes more. Like, we're harder on ourselves because we have been trained to be.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
That's kind of puts you at a disadvantage. Like,
it's a lot of programming.
It's so much. So I just want to point that out too. If you are experiencing symptoms of like imposter syndrome or inferiority, like, it might just also be the way that our society is set up, and we are working at changing that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of starts with us being like, fuck this. No, you know, I'm not going to overwork to try to prove myself to y'all. So the solutions, like Jedi Nick said, is to acknowledge that this is happening for you, right? So the first step is to be like, oh, damn, really? I'm a victim of imposter syndrome. Like, that was a big realization for me. And I was like, no way, I'm stronger than that. Because there it is. There's the machine of like, no, you bitch, you are better than this. Da, da, da. Why are you fighting so hard? Like, look, you have these feelings, and now we're acknowledging them. So we start there, and then you have to challenge those thoughts and challenge your doubts. Like, am I good enough? Is my art, should I put it out?
Byron Katie, is it true?
Right. You have to be super honest with yourself. Yeah. And some of you will
it's
still
true that
be
you're
like,
good enough.
I suck. But just notice that that's the programming. That's the imposter syndrome coming back. Avoid comparison. How do you do that? How do you do that when you have to be on social media?
Keep the blinders on.
So when you see a post and you get lost in it and you're like, oh, this person's having a great time and I'm not.
So this is what, So there are a few things you can do with that. The main thing I would say is treat the way that you're looking at this person's success like someone else would be viewing your success.
Okay.
So view that like it's like that person you're looking at is you.
Yeah.
If it were, or like your bestie or something, you'd be like, oh shit, congratulations, that's cool.
Yes.
Like, move on, whatever. You don't have to be
that also is
bitter.
It's challenging at first, but
very challenging.
It creates a momentum of positive energy.
It really does, because then it starts opening those. You stop resisting it.
The universe starts showing you those evidence that is true for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really good hack.
It is, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Sometimes it is really difficult to do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that, because success does not require perfection either.
No, dude, it's so much so in music or art, anything in entertainment, which we were kind of already saying is like an irrational business anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, being good does not always equate success.
Yeah. Or being perfect by far is not necessary. Like, actually
what the fuck does perfect even mean?
Being flawed and imperfect and vulnerable is actually more valuable now than ever.
Totally, because it's unique.
So another great option if you're recovering from this and you're not sure how to give us your art because we need it, therapy. I used to think therapy was just like for people that, I don't know, that weren't like me. I thought it wasn't something that would be healthy, and I've had a few sessions and I love it, and it's become more available than ever now. You can just get a therapist online if you're in a rural area or something. So I do think therapy, talking about this stuff with a neutral party is so helpful, and someone who's trained in this shit, because your success in life and your level of fulfillment is everything. It's everything. So even if it does cost some money, like it's worth at least doing one session and learning something and getting us. Maybe they can. One of my therapists was like, "Hey, I know you're not going to stick with me probably for a long time because you seem very like I'm a homework person. I forget what that's called, like cognitive behavioral therapy or something." But she was like, here's 2 books you should read about like CPTSD. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Thank you." And so I didn't need to go and see her again. I might like do a follow-up after I'm done with the books, but I just recommend getting somebody who you can like shovel all this off onto. That
Do you remember what those books were?
Yeah, I've recommended them in the past.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And we do, on my website, queenherby.com, I do have, if you click on podcast, there is like all the shit that I am organized.
Oh, man, can I talk about
this
the
bitch
book?
is organized. We have a book
You're
list.
so organized.
We have a book list on the site.
And that is a really very rare thing that you have that usually nobody has, is being super creative and also super organized. Because usually it takes a different skill set
Yeah.
for either of those. You know what I mean?
I could see that.
Yeah.
No, I really do enjoy it. We could do a whole episode on organization.
Oh my God, I'll skip it.
Oh, and the reason a therapist is kind of dope is because also if you try to talk about this with your family and even your friends, oftentimes those are the people that taught you these things. You might be your friends might also be suffering from the same imposter syndrome and might not be able to help you.
Yeah.
And your family might be the people that told you need to get better grades. And this perfectionist energy is what causes a lot of this in your adult life. That was wild to read about that. I was like, cool. So a non-biased therapist, third-party person is awesome.
Okay, I had a couple things I had.
Let's go.
Because I also want to talk about the book that I'm reading.
Oh, let's hear about it.
No, I don't really want to. I mean, we get a little bit, but it's pretty, it's... I didn't think you were going to call me out on it.
I just
it's
gave
good.
I just gave a whole presentation on imposter
You
syndrome.
gave a
That was
whole
not easy. I just
fucking-
learned about it today.
You had a fucking, what's it called?
Oh,
not 3D.
He's just
Not 3D.
Presentation?
Oh, yes.
PowerPoint.
Sure. PowerPoint.
Yeah.
There we go. You had a whole PowerPoint drawn up.
I did.
What did I have? What did I have? Yeah.
Because we need your art. We need your art. We need your art.
The transcript says, I really want to tell you about my book. Actually, no, I don't.
Actually, no, I don't.
That's where you left off.
Okay, it's called I. Just I. It's the last book of a trilogy.
Okay.
The first book is Power versus Force, which was Mother Teresa's one of her favorites. And then the
Was it
second
really?
one, the second was Eye of the Eye,
Yeah.
which is kind of, so the Power versus Force kind of describes kind of like the beginning lower frequencies into above 200.
Right.
Eye of the Eye is like 500 to like 700, and I actually love that book. And then this one is supposed to be like 800 up.
Oh,
And so it's
Can't relate.
Woo,
can't relate.
it's pretty far. There's a lot of things.
Do you find yourself having imposter syndrome about reading this book where you're like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm stupid.
But I can understand what's happening. Sometimes it's hard for me to go back and quickly regurgitate the information in my own, like to paraphrase it to somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do understand what's happening in it, but it's just like, holy shit. It's just talking about beyond any kind of positionality, any kind of duality, any kind of right or wrong, any kind of...
I can't relate.
It's like
Can't relate.
the advanced stages of enlightenment, pretty much on.
This was me when I first started reading all of these books. I was like, no, can't relate.
It's pretty wild, and it's also so. I listened.
I was like
to,
in my tour bus bunk with Carmen. I was just like, no, can't relate.
Me too. I have my book open, and inside it's just a Playboy.
Half a bottle of Ciroc in. And I was just like, this is not.
Why are there 3 pages?
This is not in alignment. Am I being too crazy to say that, the thing holding people back the most from giving us their art is that unworthiness?
Yeah.
It's just like not, because if you felt worthy, even if you needed money or something, you're like, I don't have money. That's why I can't give you art, because I can't afford to buy clay to make my pottery. It's like, no, you would go out and find a way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if you don't feel worthy of it, that's kind of the root problem.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It was for me.
Yeah. Well, then speak on it.
And I
because
made, listen,
if
also,
you feel that way, a lot of other people
I made a
did
lot
too.
of art before I healed my unworthiness or started healing. I believe I'm still healing it, because what I realized is like, now that I've healed unworthiness, my art has been enhanced so much.
Yeah.
So there's levels to this shit. once I get to this next point where I'm like, oh, I just uncovered some more unworthiness, I'm sure my art will jump up another level or two. And so that's another reason it's worth doing this work, because you're just going to have better art to give the world, which makes everybody happy.
Or it's going to bring you to the next thing that's going to bring you to the next thing that's going to be your huge.
Yeah, even if you end up with an organic farm in France where you're just growing
lavender.
I was going to say lavender.
Oh my God. Let's high five, but I can't reach it.
Because it's a vibe. Like,
I love
that
lavender.
Just even if you were in the music business and you were like, this is horse shit, I'm going to grow lavender. That's still an incredible story.
Dude,
and that's your unique story. And we love that for you.
Jason Mraz.
He was making avocados.
That's him with avocados. I think he was just
and
like,
coffee.
Nah, I'm good. Yeah. He's got a farm
he
somewhere
still does
between
live shows and stuff, but
Yeah.
he's not like in the machine of like, because listen, it's not for everybody. And
Well, it's not for everybody else.
all the
so
time.
Is a pretty toxic situation.
doing
so
it for a few years is fine.
yeah, and one of the big things that all the through lines and all these different consciousness, spiritual, sage fucking books, whatever, it's like everybody talks about, they're all the same concepts, but everybody just has their own perspective for how it makes sense for them that how they talk about
For
it,
sure.
which makes it interesting, right? So, but everybody talks about like the pendulum. If you could just have the pendulum, stop the pendulum from swinging so dramatically.
Okay.
So when the highs are super high and then the lows become super low. Well, that's the music. When you're in the music industry like that, that's what happens. Your pendulum swings are very intense. And that's what creates a lot of this negative, this violently negative cycles and a lot of weird feelings and feelings of instability and all these things, like when the pendulum, your highs are too high and your lows are too low.
Yeah.
And really they all talk about like just try to keep it centered.
Well, Buddha says the middle path.
The middle, the Tao does. This is
Tao,
a central thing. You know what I mean?
Tao, the Tai Chi.
What is
the
more
Tao
dangerous,
Chong.
success or failure?
Dude, they really.
Okay, next week I'm gonna bring that fucking shit in here and I'm gonna fucking read the Tao. And we're gonna be like, oh shit.
Yo, let's have Nick recite the Tao.
It's some incredible. You want me to go get it right now? Yeah. I'll go fucking get it right now.
We could pause and go get the Tao.
Okay, ready? Here we go. I'm back with my mini pocket Tao. Okay. This is number 44. One of my personal favorites.
Okay.
Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. It's pretty hard, right?
See, like that's
And
bars.
that's the whole
that's bars, and this was written like 2,000 years ago.
Dude, in a different language.
Oh my God. Thank you for listening to this episode. There are so many of you talented fucking people that listen to this podcast. I see you tweeting on the Twitter and commenting on the YouTubes and posting on the Facebook. And we even get emails from y'all sometimes that just make my life. I got a voice memo from somebody today that I need to figure out how to respond to. Like, it was so beautiful. And we love doing this with you.
I'm really grateful for everybody listening and fucking around with us. It's really cool.
And we hope you have a beautiful week. We'll see you soon.
Hey, Amy.
We need your art. Yeah.